Hi guys, and welcome back to Inside Investing, and today we're gonna talk to you about real estate, because I think a lot of people want to invest in real estate, but it's actually quite difficult to start into investing in real estate because the starting point and the money that you need to invest into real estate seems to be very high. And we're gonna give you a guideline, a real blueprint on how you can also start investing into real estate. So as I mentioned, it's very expensive, right? If you want to buy into real estate and you actually want to own, for example, a house to then rent out, that's very difficult. It's very expensive. You need a lot of starting capital to start investing into real estate. So that doesn't really, I think for us at least, doesn't, and I think also honestly for a lot of people doesn't really work. You also probably need a realtor. They are also probably going to take out a percentage of the money that you've made, and that you need to buy a house, you need to then rent it out. So all of that, there's a lot of costs that are in between you actually buying a place, renting it out, or for example renting it out to a company that then starts an office inside of that building. So that's very difficult. And then indeed, let's have a look at the different types, because there's honestly a lot of different types of buildings that you can own, right? So for example, you can own a very small, I would say cottage, for example, like a cottage, or just a small beach house, or like a bungalow, which you can then rent out, for example, on Airbnb for holiday purposes. So for example, in a warmer country, for example, in EU, it can be, for example, Greece or Spain or Italy. Then you can buy the place and rent it out, especially during peak season. So during the summer, you can rent it out, and probably on Airbnb, seems like you can make a lot of money on that. On the other end, you can, for example, also, let's say buy a part of an office building and then rent it out to a company who can then really start their office in this building. I do think that, considering now also the pandemic, working from home has become a little bit more regular as well. So it might be a very difficult market also to step into real estate from that perspective. So I think doing it this way is very difficult, to really buy a place and rent it out, or resell it, but mainly rent it out. That's very very difficult and very complex to really get that started. A lot of money involved, so that doesn't work. But then we found a way, and there is a different way, a better way to, with a very small amount of money, start investing into real estate, which is then actually the VanEck Vectors ETF. So that's a global real estate ETF from VanEck Vectors. So it's a company that provides us this ETF in order for us to really start investing into real estate, global real estate. And this is an ETF that provides us that opportunity. So that's why we really love this. And we're going to show you today, and we're going to dive into a few of the key numbers of this ETF, because we think that this is the best way for us to start investing into real estate. And if you also want to start investing in real estate, then this is the place to be in. Please watch until the end, because we can give you a sneak peek, and we've already actually bought some ETFs. We've already bought a few shares of this global real estate ETF. So guys, if you want to keep being updated on the progress of our portfolio, and you want us to cover different topics, then please subscribe to the channel. You can keep being updated on how the portfolio is doing and how it's growing. We provide you on a periodic basis with portfolio updates, but also give this video please a thumbs up. That helps out growing the channel. So guys, let's have a quick look at the fund description. So this is the description from this VanEck Vectors fund itself. So it says the VanEck Vectors Global Real Estate Usage ETF covers 70 to 80% of the global investable real estate market capitalization of international real estate securities. A global allocation of the top 100 real estate stocks across various sectors. ETF with one of the lowest TERs in its asset class. It's a TER of 0.25. So that's very low. It costs very low for this ETF to be provided. In comparison with what we mentioned before, buying really a house and then really needing to have a realtor in place and have a rental contract be created and whatever, that costs a lot of money as well. But then this is just 0.25%. It's a selective ESG criteria are taken into account based on the review and evaluation of our independent research partner Vigeo Iris with regards to UN Global Compact violations. So also this is good. There are specific criteria taking into account to ensure that these are indeed fair and really companies that you want to start investing in for global real estate. And then let's have a look at a few of the fund details. So the inception date was the 14th of April 2011. The netto assets is around 121 mil, with approximately 3.1 million shares outstanding, with the expense ratio that we just discussed earlier, 0.25%. So that's very low, guys. That's very low. The income treatment as well is distributing. So indeed, this does allow us to get a little bit of dividends paid out, which of course is very nice. Let's have a look then at the risk. So this is around a 6. So that's a little bit on the higher category. For example, VWRL is around a 5. But that makes sense, right? Because VWRL includes like 3,700 companies. Yeah, this is only for real estate. So this is a small sector that you're trying to invest in. But still, we really want to have some coverage of this market as well. And that's why we also suggest to start investing into this. Then let's have a look at the country weightings. So these are the different countries included. So we see, of course, the United States, Japan as well, quite significantly. So both of those together is already like 70% of the total weightings. And then we've got Germany around 7.7, Australia, the UK, China very low actually, and then Singapore as well. But it's mainly the US, guys. It's mainly US and Japan with around 56%. So that's very significant. More than half is focused on the US. So I think that's very good. You've got a very strong focus on the US. So if you haven't done so already, then please subscribe. Also, please give this video a thumbs up if you haven't done so already. It helps the channel. It really supports the channel. It helps us grow. Get this info and this content out to as much people as possible. Also, if you want to start investing, then please use our link for the DEGIRO down up below. We'll also dive into the DEGIRO in a few seconds, and then you can also see why we really trust and we really like using the DEGIRO, because it's such an easy platform to use. So if you also want to start investing, then use the link down in the description to start investing today. Then let's have a look at the top 10 holdings of this ETF. And we see a lot of companies. I'm honestly not too familiar with these companies because I'm not, from myself, too interested, I would say, in the exact companies themselves. But if you are, then at least know that it's like 7, I would say nearly 8% of Prologis, Digital Realty Trust. I'm familiar with them, so that's at least good. Public Storage, Simon Property Group as well. I think at least a lot of different companies included as well, guys. So that's good to see. Also, this is then the top 10 holding is just for around 8%. So I think that's very fine, right? So these are at least very, very well-known companies, I would say. I think Prologis is a real estate investment trust with a headquarters in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they invest in logistics facilities. And that's, of course, very important now, also considering like the global supply chain, right? So things get delivered, it's package delivery everywhere. So this is, I think, a very smart investment as well. And then Digital Realty, I know them as well. And those are indeed like data centers. So, of course, considering the amount of data that we currently use, this is one of the key, I would say, investments to make, right? You want to really invest into data centers. So I think that's very good to know there as well. And then overall, I think it's very nice to see that even the biggest holding, which is Prologis, so which is around the logistic facilities, it's only not even 8%, guys. So it's very much distributed. It's a lot of different companies included, with all a very small portion of the total ETF. So that's very nice. Instead of us, for example, just buying one building, then that would be 100% of our money in one building. And this is now covering thousands of different buildings, mainly across the US. But that's very nice to see that it's so nicely diversified. So we're very happy to see that, of course. And then that's always very important. It's commission free, right? So guys, this is once again an ETF that you can buy without any commissions. And that's very nice. That's why we also really like using DEGIRO, because honestly we don't want to pay a lot of commission for every ETF that we buy. So if we buy this ETF once a month, which honestly we're not doing, we've bought them one time, I would say, and afterwards we haven't bought any additional shares yet. But then even if we want to, on a monthly basis, we can do one trade per month, and that's totally commission free. So that's very nice, keeps the cost very low, and therefore keep the profit very high. So that's, of course, we're very happy about that. And then let's have a look at our portfolio, because as I mentioned in the beginning, guys, we have indeed already invested a few bucks into the global real estate ETF from Vanguard. So you see here, it's right there. You see we currently have got the quantity of 2. So we've bought 2 shares of around 42 euros is the current value. So that's around 84 euros of total value. The break-even point, the break-even price was around 41 euros. So we bought them indeed around 41 euros. So that's already quite okay, I would say. Already like a 2.93% profit. And then let's have a quick look at the overall returns of this ETF. So let's say so this is the full history that's available. And also right there on top, you can also see the quantity that we've got. I think we've bought them somewhere. I think somewhere right here it was, yeah, right, somewhere early June. So that's around 2 months ago. And then let's see. So we see a very slow, steady increase. We do see, of course, that the global pandemic in 2020 did result in a very big dip in the share price. But then overall, it's still at quite a good spot, I would say. So if you invest in the long term, as we mentioned before, we're investing in the long term. We're not day traders or whatever. Then we can also see that we're still making quite some good profit. So this, I think, what was this? This was somewhere in 2011. So that's around 10 years ago. And you would now at least have been able to double your money in 10 years, which of course is very nice. I think for us also, we've included, I'll quickly go back to our portfolio. We've also included this in our portfolio from a learning perspective, guys. We really want to see and be able to compare, okay, what now that we've invested in global real estate, invested in VWRL, and S&P 500 mainly, how does that then compare? How can we do that comparison? So for now, it looks very nice. It's around 2.93%. And you see we've bought 2 shares as of now. So that's very good, I would say. It's just below, I think it's around 8%. Yeah, I would say 8% of our total portfolio value. We're going to buy a little bit more VWRL and S&P 500 as well. So the overall value of our portfolio is going to increase, but we're not going to be buying too much more of this ETF of global real estate for now, at least. So I think this percentage of our portfolio will decrease in that way. But that's all fine. We just want to see how this is growing, and we do want to have a specific focus on this as well. We want to really see from a learning perspective, how does this continue, and does it increase more or less than VWRL and S&P 500. So that's a really nice way for us to compare that as well. So guys, once again, just use the link down in the description if you also want to start investing using DEGIRO. And for now, guys, thanks for watching. We definitely appreciated you tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and please like the video as I mentioned before. Comment down below any topics that you have for the next video. If you want us to cover a specific ETF, or you want to invest in something else that you can't find a good way to start investing into, perhaps there's also an ETF that we can find for you. So guys, comment down below any questions that you have, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.